Because, you know, if they finally talk to him, they change it.
We start live streaming at what time? 7?
7:15.
All right.
Bill, you are
It's
at,
being posted now.
are you missing the number 7 or I just can't see? Bill, you're at table 7.
Okay. Hey, Jason, you want to do some sound tests?
Sure.
Make sure we're not too hot on the mic.
I think if we stay away from this speaker, we'll be okay. This is my rotary room, so this is why I hear speakers.
Gotcha.
I'm with Derby. Ezra, our aunt is working on his side with Derby. And his uncle, when he was visiting here.
Should I try sound mask first?
Yeah, give me 1
I
second.
mean, Tiffany felt the money to do the property. And, you know, so, I want to be, and whatever it else, so, yeah. And, you know, but the problem is, that's fine, well, your dad died. He's done his pancreatic cancer, beginning December of 18.
Actually, I have to do it like this.
Alex, your bed was, but anyway, and so, you know, there's not a male figure. That's why she really wants to be scouting. But Nathan, big Boy Scout with his son, he was Charles.
Isn't he in 25, the boy?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
that's good.
I got a friend request for, was it Patsy Nice Warner? And I thought, who is this person? You know, and I looked at the picture and there was Bernice and Lloyd, and I thought, well, who is this person? You know, this is unless Bernice has an alter ego.
Don't think so.
Now, then I finally figured it's her mother.
Just talk normally, Jason.
Sure.
Is
We'll
that
try with the
right?
mask first.
Yes.
Mask first, then we'll go no mask.
Oh, yeah, Stonewall Eagle Scout Project.
Are we gonna have a plan with Derby video?
No, not
Sound?
today.
No video? So which mic are we going off of? The house mic?
The one I'm running off of is the little silver one
Is
there.
this one?
And it's very sensitive, so you don't have to try to talk into it or anything.
So is the audio better without the mask?
Yes, much.
It's probably a lot muffled with it. Yeah. I don't even think this one's on. So I don't think the amplifiers are on. If we're all going through your mic, we should be fine. This room's small enough, I don't think we really need a microphone.
Okay. But yeah, I can hear you pretty good.
You guys think it's, I mean, I've never been told that I'm too quiet, but I don't think we're gonna need mics in here. This is a small enough room.
And I'm definitely one ear, can't hear out the other.
Okay.
I really am.
Now, ever since I had, when I was.
Just
kid,
normal?
had ears-
I won't even use my corporate voice, I'll just use my regular talking voice. So you can probably hear me back fine in that corner.
Roll out,
Okay.
I guess, whatever, you moved it out the earwax. And so a little bit, I had skin growing up top of the earwax then, so I had, you know, couldn't understand a word people were saying.
So that works?
Yep.
So drop mask and
I said,
go that way?
Yep.
Okay.
and it's like, oh my goodness, well, okay. I mean.
Well, I've only got a small part, so they're not here listening to me anyway.
Right.
Okay.
And, talk through a little bit, probably keep Mulford and, Byron and Kat here willing to host another, big dinner type thing,
Yeah,
probably in the fall.
yeah,
Yeah.
you may recall, we tried to get
So,
the.
they were kind of excited about that.
Honorees.
Have a second dinner.
So, So, but the committee may not acknowledge that, you know,
If you try it,
he's the
when
behind
it's
the
coming
scenes guy, so
on.
maybe the face, he deserves it as much as Rick does. So that's why. Say one for
Your
the.
test meeting.
It takes months and months.
Yeah, let's see, what else?
I think. And I always think, like, yeah.
So I'm actually the bar is open, right?
Yeah, that was a big deal.
The bar is open.
Oh, okay.
Okay. I guess I don't think it's.
Yeah, how are you?
Tonight.
Huh?
Tonight.
No. City Hall's closed.
Right. Because I.
I'm interested in maybe, see that. That's big. That's what, how much you want.
Whatever.
I can't live there. They're already printing out. They're printing red. So they understand. Yeah, I mean, the newspaper, but the same way. Here goes.
Oh, anyway. I don't.
I thought police had parking. I don't think we yeah, maybe four, maybe. Yes, a day here.
Oh, okay. Yes.
It's not the easiest space.
I guess, yeah, there's something.
Either.
Yeah. Usually there's something. In January. Yeah. Everything. Well, I'm thinking,
Yeah, that's.
So, like, that's what you look like in an order.
It's also a region. How much are you? It's a 2-year.
We have a new president in Plymouth. They have.
About 4 years.
Big party.
I just don't know that. In perpetuity.
As I say. Now, I know these are puny on the table, whatever, but I'll tell you. Simple, well, see, now, everything. So,
No, but we are.
one,
So it kind of goes down.
but anyways,
Like, it comes back,
you know, mine,
and we're not quite. How are you? Good. Happy to find a shirt, man.
Mary's Guild, always
Yeah, she liked her, drawing department, a bunch of her friends were going.
Last guy, church, who gets support as sausage, and it's good sausage, because he doesn't put, sage in it. Sage is what.
How's it going?
Yeah.
He's good. He's good. He,
Thank you.
the guy who.
Yeah, 'cause this was supposed to take place.
Hey, man, how are
The
you?
wires everywhere.
Sorry.
The wires going everywhere here.
Well, a neighbor, actually, that, died, and so he's, I don't know what it's.
Different setup.
Yeah.
It's about half the size that we normally have.
His wife wrote, 75 pounds sausage.
Yeah,
I have no idea.
You know,
Does it feel like? Do you have an idea how many people are on remotely?
I have no idea. I think just one.
I might know, I might
I
just.
think it's just Dr. Gee.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
We don't have anybody's gonna, well, we got a link up there. Are we gonna know who's viewing or not?
Yeah, I can see that.
You can see who's viewing.
If they join the Zoom meeting, yes, I can see.
What if they just go on that link?
If they go on the YouTube link, and
Uh-huh.
I'll see someone's watching it, but I won't know
I
who.
didn't get that.
Well,
We have two links out there. So we have this one, which is like YouTube Live.
uh-huh.
So anybody can log on and watch that. So I'll be able to see how many people are viewing it, but I won't. But if they join the Zoom meeting, then I'll see who.
So Guy is gonna come in via the Zoom meeting?
Yes.
Are you sure there's been something worse?
So is he gonna pay attention to the whole thing or just his part?
I don't know, actually. I don't know if anybody has to.
I don't think that mic is gonna be hot.
This one isn't?
No, I don't think so. I think it's just there.
Is this the one we use
They're
every
gonna get transported that we.
So apparently
I
this is
think
going, this is
Eric,
off.
now
So
Eric.
the good news, I checked before, I'm not gonna.
Yeah.
Check.
Because she said, oh, okay, I'll check and see which one.
Check.
Likes better. No, I think I just burned the bridge with.
Lynn, excuse me, can you hear me over the sound system?
I don't think it's over the.
I don't know if, oh.
I don't think
I
they have
don't
the
think
sound system
I
on.
hear you. I hear you, but I don't think it's holding the sound system.
So this may be for just,
That's just for the computer audio.
I don't know.
so you don't think we ought to have the, like I can get Matt to,
We can have Matt set it up, I'm just worried about feedback, because, you know.
well, as long as you're not right on the
Under the
speaker,
speaker.
you know, sometimes the rotary, you're right on the speaker, and it
Right.
gets oscillation.
Well, especially when they go out in front. You want to see?
I'll ask you.
Okay.
Hi, how are you?
How are you?
Where is Matt?
He's at the bar.
That's gonna be, and we want to get this speaker out of the microphone. Hi there.
Hey, Max, how are you?
Good,
It turns on right on the bottom. There's a
but I
button.
don't think it's on, is it?
Yeah, just turn it on. That.
Check. Check.
It's crazy. I got it plugged.
Check.
Yeah.
Hey, Matt, and who's that with you?
I don't know, I brought, she was out on the street.
How are you, Betty?
I'm sorry.
He was out on the street. Do you have one without that?
Okay, yeah, I'll.
Okay.
Oh, I know.
We got shit from Israel. It's not even like.
Well, that's okay, something on eBay, that went to.
I'm just looking forward to see.
Where are they?
Pete, I'm just looking forward to tomorrow morning.
December, and
Oh,
then
boy, me
it
too.
was,
Phil, thank you for doing all this. You got a good setup, huh?
Hopefully.
That's cool.
Yes.
We need to invite you to come join our Rotary meeting and do it like this for Rotary, eh, Max?
Yeah.
Got all this good stuff?
Is Phil an engineer? Are you an engineer?
Me? I'm an IT architect.
No, see, at our age, we used to call them engineers.
Engineers, right, yeah. He's a geek squad member. So is President Gee, he's lined up to
He's going to
come
join
in on FaceTime or
Zoom.
whatever?
He'll be connecting on Zoom.
On Zoom, good. Yeah, well, that's great. That's great.
Yeah, but y'all can continue talking. I'm gonna go out. 'Cause I'm
Can I
connected.
can I get you a drink or anything while you're here? What would you like?
right here.
Gonna be up wine and beer.
All the brand
Soda?
Okay, I want to get a bit. I didn't, just because I had a thing on here. I just want to know what's going on. Even with it printed, I probably, I thought we don't. No. There. There you go. Thank you. Oh, so this is, okay. Oh, the changes to go. Huh? No, I think what he's
seat. We're going to get started with the program. Well, good evening, everyone. My name is Max Oates. I'm your master of ceremonies this evening. As we present the Berkeley County Potomac District and the Shenandoah Area Boy Scout Council Distinguished Citizens Award. And no, it's not me. Actually, it's to my good friend Rick Pill. How about that? What a surprise. Yeah. So I will hold off any opening remarks until after we eat. Right now, I'd like to introduce not Tom, but John Collins, who's going to offer the event.
Thank you, Max. And my father, or my grandfather's nickname was Tom. His real name was Charles, but it's a pleasure to be here with you this evening. If you would join me as I open in our invocation, the Scout is Reverend. O great Master of all Scouts, we come before you this evening in fun and fellowship to recognize a pillar of our community and thank him for his support throughout the years of scouting and all the great things he has done in our community. We thank you for that. We ask that you bless those who are not with us this evening, even though they are here in spirit. We appreciate their support as well. And we ask that you bless those that have prepared the food that we'll eat here shortly, and that you will allow us to use it for your service and to the service of our fellow citizens here in Berkeley County. We offer this before you with all great thanks and look forward to seeing everybody again in person as we can gather at a greater time. In your name we pray. Amen. Amen.
I can have your attention, it's now 7:15. I was just admonished for not being here on time. Again, my name is Max Oates, and I'm pleased to be your master of ceremonies. And we're supposed to be here back in March 17th, St. Patrick's Day. That's why we have the St. Patrick's Day. That explains it. They saved it for us. Anyway, we're here tonight to recognize Rick Pill. A lot of Rick's friends and family members are here. And that's certainly fitting and appropriate. As many of you know, Rick's been very active in the community for many years. He's been a pillar, read this, a pillar in Berkeley County, which is why the Boy Scouts have selected Rick as the Distinguished Citizen for 2020 and why we're here tonight. So with that said, we're going to have the color guard. And gentlemen, it's time. If you'd stand, we'll have the colors.
One face. One allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. On honor, I will do my best to do my duty to God and my country, to obey the Scout law, to help other people at all times, to keep myself physically strong, mentally awake, and morally straight. Scout is trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent.
Those colors. One face. Dark cord.
I think everyone could be seated. You don't have to stand for me, for God's sake. At this time, Richie McCune is going to, he's the co-chair of this dinner. He's going to have a few words, and he will then introduce his son, Billy.
Still make it up these steps. Rick, the first thing I want to do is say thanks. We are very, very grateful for your willingness to be honored by us in this, at this gathering. You're well deserving of it. We're most grateful. And for the work that you and Dave have done in helping our program this year, it's been above and beyond the call, and we're very grateful. This has been a tough year for everybody. And while we wanted to have this dinner back in March, I can't think of a better way to close out 2020 and start 2021 than by honoring Rick. The council has a long history of honoring community leaders, and Rick joins an esteemed group of past honorees. The list of those past honorees can be found in your printed program. We'd like to thank the Holiday Inn. They have done wonderful work for us over the years. They continue to do wonderful work for us, and we're most grateful for their help with these dinners. The dinner was organized by a number of people who have met repeatedly over some months. First, to organize the dinner for last spring, and now again for some weeks to make this evening possible. The list of committee members can be found on the back of your printed program. I'll read them to you quickly. Matt Cole, who's here, David Dalton, Bob Fleenor, Howard Cromthal, Pete Mulford, Dave Pill, Buzz Poland, Tim Parnell, Kevin Starliper, Jason Stedman, and Lynn Steptoe. We're very grateful for the work that all of those individuals have done. And of course, I want to thank Eric Stinger, who's run the shop. And we're grateful for your leadership. On behalf of the committee and all of the Scouts, unit leaders, volunteers, and the families of our Scouts in Berkeley County, I want to give a big thank you to all who contributed to the success of this event and to the success of the fundraising that we have had this last year. If you take a minute and look at your program, you'll see the different sponsors and supporters for the dinner. I especially want to thank our marquee sponsors, Hamilton Insurance Agency, Alan and Lisa Zuccari, and Phil and Lynn Steptoe. I know that each person here, and I believe I know just about each person here, this is just one big family, play a vital role in our community's charitable leadership and in its services initiatives. We are grateful for the help of each of you and grateful for the help that you have given to the Scouting program. With that said, I have a young man who's going to come up here and tell you what Scouting means to him. Come on up, Billy. It's all yours.
You don't know I have a speech written up, I just need to pull it up.
Into the microphone, boy.
Okay. I'd like to thank everybody here for this opportunity to speak at this distinguished citizen dinner, honoring Rick Bill, of course. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Billy McCune, though most of you do know me. I'm an Eagle Scout, and I reached that rank in September of 2019. And yes, my dad is Richard McCune, the super old guy over there.
Speak into the microphone.
What Scouting means to me. For me, Scouting is a way to give someone the best possible path to learn to be a better person. For example, in Scouting, we do hours of community service. I remember running door to door as a Cub Scout and as a Boy Scout for Scouting for Food. It teaches you leadership skills with programs such as NYLT, otherwise known as the National Youth Leadership Training. Life skills such as communication, first aid, personal fitness, and personal management, and many other things. Scouting makes boys and now girls more active in their community. With things such as my Eagle Scout project, where I helped the Apollo Civic Theater put murals in their windows. It took a year, but it doesn't look half bad. I wouldn't say it does. But how has Scouting affected me? Well, the answer is a lot. It made me closer to my faith, my family, and my dad. It's caused my love for the outdoors. It's given me more understanding of what the real world is like. And it's taught me that you can do anything with enough effort, time, and a couple of friends to help you along the way. It's made me a more goal-oriented person, and it's given me more drive in my schoolwork, and it's made me, oh, I haven't said that part. Every Scout has a wow moment. For me and many other Scouts, my wow moment wasn't going down a 3,000-foot zip line or singing Sweet Caroline with 31,000 other people at the National Jamboree, which are just some of the opportunities Scouting has given me. It was going to the Order of the Arrow induction ceremony and participating in it. I was only 12 years old, and I only had been in Scouting for 2 years. But this was the first time that I've been to Rockingham and witnessed the induction ceremony. I remember standing in a line, looking around me with all these funny dressed guys, grabbing people as they marched. I remember being pulled forward and being forced to march with these funny dressed people. And I remember being told to say my name to New Ticket, I think that's what they call me. And hear my name yell out to everybody, for everybody else to hear. I remember being shoved in front of all of Watsakima and being violently patted on the shoulder 3 times. Thanks, Caden. I also remember the rush of excitement and the rush of responsibility that I knew that I was going to get. But I also knew the amount of fun that I was about to have and the amount of experiences I was about to make. At that very moment, I knew that scouting was right for me. I knew that as long as I was in scouting, I'd be having fun. And that was my raw moment. Scouting remains a part of my life. I planned on going to the SR7A conclave in April. I planned on going to summer camp with my troop in July. And I planned on going to NOAC, otherwise known as the National Order of the Arrow Conference, during the summer. I still have 2 years before college, and I believe scouting will give me many more experiences and opportunities to learn. The adventure continues. Thank you. Who's next?
Who's next? Pete Mulford.
Pete Mulford. I'd like to introduce Pete Mulford.
That's good, Billy. Way to go, guy. You did real well, Billy.
Way to go, Billy. Thank you. Well, you just heard Billy's comments about the impact that scouting has had for him, and I think you realize within that impact is a lot of value that he will continue carrying on the rest of his life, like many of you in the room that are a little bit older Eagles. That same impact and value that Billy has experienced is really daily, weekly, monthly, yearly being experienced by thousands of scouts of all levels throughout the Shenandoah Valley. This, as was noted already, really has been quite a year. While we were not able to do all that we routinely do with scouting, like our unit meetings and our chartered organizations, notably the summer camp Billy mentioned, and the list could go on and on and on. We actually, believe it or not, saw a very positive year for scouting in the Shenandoah Council, and particularly here in the Potomac District, 3 counties of eastern West Virginia. I'm glad to see them back in the council together, and notably right here in Berkeley County. Our scouts went online for meetings. Many of the units met in outdoor locations, and all of our youth completed hundreds of merit badges, kind of the essence of the work they put in to finally become an Eagle Scout. Here's a little bit of what we saw within Berkeley County. You know, out of the 50 scouting units within our district, 15 chartered organizations representing almost 30 of those 50 units in the area are right here in Berkeley County. So it really is with hats off to our chartered organizations, many churches, many other organizations, and notably all of the volunteer leaders that stand with those chartered organizations in running these units. We had over 750 youth in our scouts just in Berkeley County this year. They were introduced through the work they did in their merit badges to over 100 different career paths or skills and hobbies. And believe me, as an old scouter, I cherish those merit badges I had that never made it to Eagle for me, but really instilled in me a lot of the skills and the values I continue with today. Here in Berkeley County alone, we had 11 of our scouts complete the Eagle Award. And they just didn't complete it. They really had to earn it. And for those of you that may not be up on it contemporaneously, to earn it, they have to finally do not only, 21, Billy, 24 merit badges, but they also have to do what you call a capstone project. So many of their churches, many area nonprofits, and particularly many of our schools benefited from the Eagle Scout projects that were completed for these young men to achieve their Eagle. All of our units just here in Berkeley County contributed over 5,000 pounds of food to CCAP Loaves and Fishes. And being a CCAP member, and some of our other members here with CCAP, that was huge. I helped unpack all of those for a week later. It was a lot of food. And so we really appreciated that. And that followed up the food drive they'd already done last spring. So they were really busy. But the numbers really don't tell the whole story of scouting. Our Eagles, and those that didn't make Eagles, Star, Life, Tenderfoots, Cub Scouts, Tigers, Bears. Somehow, some way, scouting is going to make an impact on them as the future leader of tomorrow. The Scouts are among our country's greatest leaders in sports, medicine, government, acting, writing, and in fact, many presidents of the United States that have been Eagles. Right here at home, there are many of our own friends that we know, and I just came up with a couple of them. The Honorable Bill Powell. You all know Bill, and he was honored a couple of years ago, our Attorney General of Northern West Virginia. Do I have it right, Rick? Northern West Virginia, somewhere in there. But Bill is probably one of the best known Eagle Scout older campers within our district, and still was very active until he obviously took on a higher role. Richie and Brance McCune, Fred Holliday, Eric Stenger and his sons, Mercuro brothers and his sons and his brother. And if you look at the NISA roster, National Eagle Scout Association, just Berkeley County alone has almost 200 people that have been Eagle Scouts. I just wish we could bring them all back into this room at the same time. Rick, I'm sorry to say you were never an Eagle Scout. Neither was I. But somehow you in particular, through osmosis or some other way, have grasped all of the attributes that we heard a few minutes ago in our Scout Oath and our Scout Law. And being around President Gee, by the way, which I'm thinking may be on a little later, that's not too shabby to be around a distinguished Eagle Scout. So you certainly, as we honor you tonight, we're doing that because of all of those scouting attributes, which we're so proud of you for grasping and living with. And Dave, I just want to say for the audience that doesn't know it, we wanted to honor both of them. We really did. Dave refused that. Otherwise, they would both be up here tonight. So as I close my comments, I just want to say that we have to thank particularly back to those people and those charter organizations that are supporting what we do. You know, 750 young boys and girls, almost 300 adult leaders, many organizations, and as was noted, all of the sponsors that have supported our program, our finances, that frankly kept scouting in Berkeley County very, very strong. And I should say, if you looked at your program, I am not the Potomac District Chair. That was last year. Eric is our Potomac District Chair this year. So as we wind up the comments, we'll finally get that straight, Eric. And Eric, thanks to you and Richie for the terrific job. Richie, 20 plus years you've been doing this for Scouts, Buzz, Todd, many others in this room. So we thank Rick, we thank everybody that's behind the scouting movement. And now I turn it over to Mr. Chair, Jason.
Thank you, Pete, for sharing scouting's impact in the community. It seems like I'm going to dovetail pretty much with Pete and with Billy, but I think it's important that we talk about some things that are going on in our community. For those that don't know me here, and there may be one or two, my name is Jason Stedman. I'm the council president for the Shenandoah Area Council, and I was the Potomac District Chairman before, so Pete, be careful. Come to look for you. So hearing all the things that happened in this community in the past year with regard to scouting, it's a pretty big impact that we had 11 Eagle Scouts. That's a great job, and I'm very proud of all of them. The thing you guys don't realize is everything that went on behind the scenes to make sure that those Eagle Scout board of reviews, approvals, and projects could occur. There was an awful lot of logistics that you can't even imagine, including teaching my father how to use Zoom on the computers and convincing him that he can do the Eagle Scout board of review on the computer. So thanks to my daughter for showing him how to do that, we were able to do it. So as the president of the Shenandoah Area Council, I'm proud of our scouts and our leaders for what they're able to accomplish in 2020. 11 new scouts, that would be a great accomplishment in and of itself. But with the pandemic and everything that we've gone through, that achievement is increased tenfold. It speaks volumes about the quality of the young leaders, our volunteers, and our leaders, and the impact in scouting is in their lives, but in all of the community. As for most nonprofits, COVID-19 has had a dramatic impact on us financially as a council. In a normal year, we would have had hundreds participating in weekend camps and send probably 1,000 youth through our summer camp program. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. We were forced to close Camp Rocky Inn, and most of our events were canceled. This was despite our best efforts doing everything we could to keep the camp open. We were faced of, if we were going to try to open the camp, we had probably a $50,000 investment just in PPE to try to keep it going. So it just couldn't happen. As a result, we had a loss of revenue of about $400,000. I'm going to tell you guys, look, we're experiencing a worrisome trend that needs to be addressed in scouting and needs to be addressed in the Shenandoah Area Council. And I tell you this not to be a downer, but to tell you what's out there and be realistic about what the challenges we face ahead are. That downward trend includes revenues that were down for the year of 97%. Our fundraising efforts were down 22%. Of the finances that were raised to help support the council for the year, this event last year and the sponsors that are in this room helped save the day. You were the shining star of 2020. Thank you very much, or we would not have made it. Otherwise, our board, our executive board, and our council board was responsible for over 30% of the funds that were brought in to support the council for the year. That's thanks very much in part to one member that agreed to do a financial match for every dollar that was raised. Membership in our Cub Scout units is down 50% over the year. And the good news is that membership is down in our more senior youth, but only 35%. Unfortunately, these numbers are right in line with what we're experiencing in the national averages. And it's because of your direct support and many other folks like you in 2020 that our council was able to survive. It has been a very hard year. I thank you for your support, and a special thank you to the members of the committee that were listed for your help to organize this year and this event year after year. You're not being asked to donate tonight. I'm not being asked to make the ask. I get a year off from my Give Me Money speech, so I get to enjoy that. But I'm going to ask you to keep scouting on your list for local nonprofits that make an impact right here in Berkeley County for your support. Later in the program, you're going to hear details about how you can support our 2021 DCA plans, and I ask you to please consider supporting Scouts in the same level of 2021 as you did generously in 2020. These are dark times. Let our Scouts be the shining light in our community in this, our darkest hour. Among COVID concerns, they did 2 scouting for foods, as you already heard about, to make sure that they could support local food banks in the community's time of need. They brought relief supplies to medical and frontline workers, and throughout the entire thing, they kept being Scouts. They met when, where, and how they could. They had virtual campouts, virtual meetings. There were rank advancements and merit badges earned, as you heard about. As I told you before, we even had online boards of review. And in fact, we had an online 10-hour interview where we hired a new Scout executive, so welcome aboard, Robert. We face a giant challenge in the year ahead. We need to climb to new membership levels in a world where membership in just about everything is down. To do this, we need to keep scouting viable, available, and strong in our community. We will need your support and the support of all of you in the community to make sure that happens. My daughter recently started in Scouts BSA. I asked her what she liked about the program, and as usual, for those that know my daughter, she offered an insightful response that can remind us all of why we're here. She said, I like Scouts because it's fun, it teaches you how to do stuff, and it gives you a sense of community. She's right. After all, if it isn't fun, it isn't scouting. You guys have never heard that before. They learn how to do stuff. Like Pete said, that they learn valuable lessons and life skills that they're going to carry with them for the rest of their lives. A lot of them get involved in professions because of merit badges that might have sparked their interest. And they do learn a lot of leadership skills that give them a sense of community. They do their part and they all help out. They support each other and encourage those around them to achieve new goals. Shouldn't that what we want to see in all of our community? This is the best program out there to teach leadership and character development. So please help carry this needed program out for our future and current scouts. For they, like Billy, will be the ones that lead us, this program, and this community into the future. Thank you all very much for coming out this evening. We appreciate the fact you're here, and I know that you're here to hear about Mr. Pill, so I'm going to hand it over to Mr. Pill. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, fellas. Thank you, men and women, and Rick and I and our family appreciate this award. And I want to mention that Donna, Rick's wife, is here with us as well, showing her support, and we appreciate that. We met in June of 2019, I believe, and I think it was Eric and maybe Bob Fleener and Richie. Richie, I think, called me, maybe Eric called me and said, the three of us want to come out there and meet with you and Rick. I'm like, man, Rick and I didn't get called out like that very much since we've been from Morgantown. You know, what trouble are we into? Because we weren't ornery back in Morgantown. We settled down, we got over here. But in any event, they came out and asked us to participate in this. And I can tell you, these awards are awkward for Rick and I, and make us uncomfortable. And we had to think about it before we accepted it. And again, we appreciate it. It was tough. We're not scouts. And Pete, what you said was very meaningful. I appreciate that. Rick appreciates that. I do think Rick carries a lot of the attributes that the code called for, especially trustworthiness and loyalty. We had scout leaders. Rick and I did. Mom and Dad, Dick and Thelma Pill. They were souped-up scout leaders. And anything we've done is because of them. And I can tell you fundamentally, they taught us about God. And I know that's where the scouts start as well. And if you don't believe in God, if you don't have a being higher than you that can make you humble, then you don't have anywhere to go. We went to church from as long as I can remember. My mom taught Sunday school guys for 60 straight years in Morgantown and then at Bennington, the United Methodist Church here in Martinsburg. 60 years. It's probably hard to find anybody anymore that goes to church 60 times in a lifetime. 60 years of teaching Sunday school. That's a scout leader. My dad took care of sports in Morgantown, not only for Rick and I, but for the entire community, including some kids named Stinger, some of which were from the First Ward area. We were from First Ward, places called Dogtown, Frog Hollow, coal miners, glass workers. The university was down here. It was Calloused Hand area. We learned the fundamentals of scouting through friends. That we had neighbors named Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Always brought you back to the Bible. So in any event, we had a foundation for two people that were just like scouts. I got to throw in Doris Ryan and Pat Ryan from Morgantown. Scout leader, went to Spruce Street United Methodist Church with us. My mom and dad's best friend, scout leader. Pat passed away. Doris marries Francis Dalton, another scout leader, actually donated a lot of land to the Scouts in Morgantown. So we do have a nexus with the Boy Scouts of America. I need to call out some more names here. Let's see. Matt Cole is here. Matt back there, okay? Rick and I have gone to church with Matt probably 30 years now. Scout leader, okay? He's a leader. This award belongs to a lot of people. The Roosters, okay? Probably everything I mentioned now is going to fit somebody in here. The Roosters, Phi Kappa Psi fraternity in Morgantown, WVU. JC's, Rotary, Key Club from high school, baseball teams that Rick was on. Pill and Pill softball team. Rick's given them back charitably, time, effort, money. But he can't do that, and I know we've got to cut this short, but we at least believe that you have to have your household in order first. And this comes from mom and dad as well. Got to take care of your family first, or you can't get to step 2. Jessica, Shannon, Christy, my kids, Katie, and Ashley, Rick and I raised. And they're all good kids, nice kids. They make us proud. The house is good. You got to take care of work. You got to take care of work. You can't get to charity if you don't take care of work. You don't take care of the family. We take care of work second. If somebody's paying you, you better get the job done first. You can't go out and be charitable until the work's done. Theda Williams, Reggie Williams. Theda's been with us 40 years. Dedicated, loyal, family. Mike Burke. Mike's been with us. We're not the same law firm, same building. I guess 40 years, Rick, something like that. Mike Burke. Got to throw in there Phil Reel. Phil's got an ad in here. Rick got to Martinsburg, West Virginia with me and Phil. Remember that, Rick? We got it to U-Haul in Morgantown and brought Rick over here, dropped him off. Phil Reel and I dropped him off at Kent Terrace. Again, we grew up in Dogtown. We go to Kent Terrace, and Phil and Rick and I are looking at this. We got a swimming pool. You know the swimming pool at Kent Terrace beside the Dairy Queen? We looked at that thing. We said, my God, Rick, you're rich. This is incredible what's coming to you. Phil's down in Goodville. I don't know if any of you guys know Phil, but good guy. Alan Zuccari. Okay, Alan ran this ad here, guys. What a peach. WVU, Morgantown. Oh my God, was he poor. I called Alan. I said, Rick's got this award. Alan says, you tell me what to do. I'll jump through any hoop. And you know what? He meant it. He meant it. Stand by me. I got your back. We grew up with people like that. They were like Boy Scouts. Tell you one other story. Manny Arbon's in here. Manny was one of the recipients. So Manny's dad, I don't know if he ever actually moved here, but he bought a house here about, I'm thinking 5 or 6 years ago. We're in the library, and I think Mark Arbon might have been there, Manny, I can't remember. The whole family was there. His dad sitting up close to me, his mom. And everybody else is in there chitter-chattering. You know, you can't do that now because of COVID. And his dad says to me real quiet, he says, so what's your and Rick's mission statement? We never make up stuff like that. I mean, we just, we were taught from the beginning to go to church, do your best, treat people fair, have fun. We don't even take the time to figure out a mission statement. So he had me on the spot. I said, and it was just a conversation between the two of us. The rest of them are chattering. I said, love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, all your mind, and all your strength. And do unto others the way they would have done unto them. And he said, I'll take you guys. That was Manny's dad. And again, Manny, he's a champion, guys. Man, we, school board, God bless him. This county would not be what it is without Manny Arbon. And again, everybody in this room. And again, I didn't mention anything Rick's done, and it's mammoth. I told Eric, I think Eric said, I said, Eric, I don't want to be honored, but I said, Rick's nonstop. Rick's got 48 hours in a day. So we get the 8 hours of work done, we get the family taken care of, and then he puts another 10 hours in. Eddie Pastelong used to call Rick at 7 or 8 in the morning and ask him for advice. Some of the people who call him for advice, I'd yell over from the other room to Rick and say, Rick, tell Eddie, when's he going to start paying you? Because you're running the athletic department. And I'm just being facetious on that. Eddie's a wonderful guy, does great things for WVU. So anyhow, guys, President Gee, I think, now I could be wrong, and he can correct me when he gets on. Oh, I wanted to say hi to all the Zoomers out there. I guess that's what you call you people that are Zoomers or watching us on video. I think President Gee used to always say that the best natural resource that West Virginia has is its people. And man, we grew up in coal country, guys, and man, that was like diamonds. Gold with the coal was like diamonds. So he says it's better than coal, better than natural gas, better than the beauty of the mountains that we have, and the beautiful sky that we have, and the trees, beautiful, more better than that, the natural resource. Right there is a natural resource, Rick Hill. Alan Zuccheri, natural resource. Phil Reel, natural resource. Guys, thanks for having us. God bless you. Have a great evening.
Trouble with a knee. These your notes, Dave?
Yeah, right up there.
Todd, unfortunately, there's no time for you. I did want to mention, Jason was, of course, an Eagle Scout, talked about Rock Eden. It took me back. I was in scouting for a number of years. One of my regrets, like Pete, like Rick, I didn't finish. Didn't get an Eagle, which is quite an achievement. But Rock Eden takes me back many, many years. And I remember once when we were up there for a weekend camp retreat, if you will, and it was very cold. So we broke into Buffalo Lodge so we could build a fire in the fireplace and warm up. That was one of my, I guess that was one of my last memories of scouting. Yeah, Todd Beckwith is going to speak. I wanted to mention, I was going to introduce Dave. Dave calls me occasionally about sports, about WVU games. And well, it was about 10 days ago when the Mountaineers played Army in the Liberty Bowl. And Dave called me a day or two before. And he said, Max, I think it's going to be low scoring. And he said, I don't know about this game. He said, I'm going to go West Virginia 24 and Army 21. And I'll be damned if that wasn't the final score. Unbelievable. Yeah, so there you go, Dave Bill.
Well, let me add, Max, you called me Saturday after that, and you said, how much money did you win, Dave?
Yeah.
I forgot to bet.
That was how much money did we win? Yeah. Todd Beckwith. Well, well done, Steve.
I'm good. Good evening. Dave called me almost a year ago, unbelievably, to ask if I would say a few brief words. I think he said brief 3 or 4 times. So, Dave, if I'm more than 5 minutes or max, give me the hook, and I'm glad to sit down. But I think I have it down to 5 minutes or less, and that's not fair. I can talk 5 hours about Rick Pill. But when Dave asked me if I would do this, I, of course, sat down and started thinking what would I like to say about Rick, and then I thought, should I tie it in with scouting? And I've been to many of these scout dinners, and some folks do and some folks don't. But I was a scout. I was a Boy Scout in Troop 41, First Baptist Church. Not sure if it's still in existence, but my Boy Scout days were mostly fun. Very fond memories of Rock Eden and summer camp and winter weekends. Few merit badges, not enough to be an Eagle Scout. So I regret that, but nevertheless, very fond memories. So as I was sitting here thinking of that,
the Scout, and you've already heard it this evening, the Scout law popped into my head. So listen to the words again, the 12 principles of the Scout law, and think how they apply to Rick Pill. A Scout, or Rick Pill, is trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent. And I know any of you that know Rick Pill as well as I do, you can probably come up with a story for each one of those 12 principles easily. And I will just, as I was thinking of what I wanted to say, I thought I'm going to tell at least one story. I'm going to tie two of those principles together, thrifty and helpful. Thrifty, frugal, and I admire that aspect, of course, of Rick. But if you know Rick well, you know, and I'm going to probably embellish the story because it's about a year ago when he told it to me. But for years and years, I was aware. What's the year of the Subaru? The 88 Sub, because he was very proud of his prized possession of his wife was his 88 Sub, and this was a car that was basic transportation. The antenna was a coat hanger, and you couldn't get in and out of the driver's door. You had to go through the passenger door. So, but he said, you know, it still has life in it. I'm going to keep using it. So how can it be more thrifty than that? And I said I would tie that in with helpful. So this is the part of the story. I'm not sure if it's right, but you told me about this time last year. You were in Myrtle Beach, and you learned that some employee or relative or needed their car broke down, and you kept. Oh my! He kept the Sub in Myrtle Beach. He said, well, I might as well let this person have to be more helpful than that. But the funny part of the story was he, I think it was the battery. You weren't sure if the battery, once he started it up, he wasn't sure if it would start back or some other part of the car. So he drove it from Myrtle Beach to Martinsburg and never turned off the car because he's afraid it wouldn't start back up. So that's two of the principles that Rick would embellish as well. I remember meeting Rick, I think this is when I met him, but I remember well, a WVU alumni, we had an annual dinner back in the days, and this was, some of you were probably in there at the Anthony House out on Charlestown Road. And this fellow from Morgantown asked if he could introduce himself and stood up and told us about the Morgantown Touchdown Club. And he said, we need a similar booster type organization here in Eastern Panhandle. And of course, one of the many things that he started and has contributed to the community, a booster club, we call it the Eastern Panhandle Mountaineer Fan Club. We've had a lot of fun with that. Also have over $100,000 in scholarships that we've raised with your all's help, of course. But I remember him introducing himself and thinking, this guy's going to be all right. He's going to be quite an addition to the community. So just in closing, I didn't realize that they wanted to do you guys as a tag team, but so the name of the program says Rick Pill, but this goes for Rick and Dave both. And I did have the honor of knowing their father, Dick, and I know Thelma now. So, and I don't know two guys who are more benevolent and love their family, their community, their church, WVU, and Jesus Christ more than these two guys. So it's my honor to call you guys great friends. Thank you. Well, now it's time for our keynote speaker, Dr. E. Gordon G. from Morgantown. I'm going to screw that up. He has such an impressive bio that I must read it. It's unbelievable. He's currently serving for the second time as president of WVU. He's been a leader in higher education for more than 3 decades. In 2009, Time magazine named him one of the top 10 university presidents of the United States. Recently, the website Great Value Colleges named him the nation's top university president. In addition to his service at WVU, he served as president of Ohio State University twice, Vanderbilt University, Brown University, and University of Colorado. Born in Vernal, Utah, he graduated from the University of Utah with an honors degree in history and earned his JD and ED degrees from Columbia University. Before starting his career in higher education, he clerked under Chief Justice David T. Lewis of the U.S. 10th Circuit. He was also a judicial fellow and staff assistant to U.S. Supreme Court, where he worked for Chief Justice Warren Burger. He is co-author of over a dozen books, including his two most recent, Leading Colleges and Universities and Land Grant Universities for the Future. He's also authored many papers and articles on law and education. His service on education governance, organizations, commissions is extensive. He currently serves on the Board of Trustees of the National 4-H Council, the National Executive Board of Boy Scouts of America, and Board of Directors of the American Council on Education, the nation's largest higher education organization. He served as chair of the Big 12 Board of Directors Executive Committee for 2017 and 2018. It's my pleasure to introduce E. Gordon Yee, President of WVU.
So there we go. Can you hear me all right? Am I, yep, okay, let me just see. They're going to get me on here. So can you hear me yet? Okay, it says that you can hear me. Can I hear someone say yes, they can hear me? Okay, there we go. I
1 second, Dr. D. I'm working on getting you on the audio.
Okay, great, thank you.
We tested it earlier.
Is it working now?
Not yet.
Very nice, Joe. My brother doesn't speak that highly.
This worked. Can you try talking again?
You want me, am I on all right now? Can you hear me? I hate technology.
How about now?
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Whoops. Still no response, huh?
I think we got you now.
Okay, you got me now?
Yep, you're good.
Okay, great. Well, thank you very much. I apologize. So you took all my time getting me lined up. So it was great to be here to see you. No, just kidding you. So anyway, I am so delighted to be here. I apologize for not being there in person, Rick. And but you know, he knows that they have me in lockdown. They have they have me surrounded by armed guards and guard dogs and drones overhead, and they make me dress in an orange jumpsuit. So I really don't get a chance to get out very often. I haven't seen the sun for so long that I probably wouldn't recognize it. But anyway, I really am honored to be here among you, if not there in person. And the reason is the fact that Rick Pill is one of my favorite people. I've known Rick and Donna for a long time, and certainly I knew Rick when he was younger. That was when I was younger also. We were he's a lawyer. I'm a lawyer. I was dean of the law school for a short period of time until they made me president of the university, thanks to the law faculty because they couldn't stand me. But anyway, it's just such a great family and such a great connection to so many folks. But I'm really honored to be here, and I'm honored to be part of Scouting, as we've indicated from your leadership. Scouting is going through a tremendously challenging time, and this nation is going through a tremendously challenging time. Now, we saw some of that today. I think that the divisions in this country are wide and deep. And one of the great things about scouting, scouts are weavers. They weave ideas and people together, and they have a sense of civility and respect. We just heard the 12 points of the expectations of Scouting. Civility, respect are certainly part of that. And so celebrating Scouting, celebrating America, celebrating the fact that we can have civil disagreements, and the fact that we can come together at the right time. So it really is an honor for me to be here. Rick himself is by any measure a very distinguished member of our West Virginia family, and certainly a member of our West Virginia University family. As you all know, he earned his bachelor's and his law degree from West Virginia University, and now serves on our board of governors. And so, in other words, I work for Rick, so I'm always careful about noting that. He also is a past president, as we've heard, of the Eastern Panhandle Alumni Association and the Mountaineer Fan Club. And there probably is no greater fan than Rick. I don't know if you know, and Rick would have to correct me, but I think that he has never missed a home football game for about 55 years or something that in that measure. And so when we had to shut down the football program or the availability of fans, we dressed Rick up as a hot dog vendor. He did a good job, but anything to see a football game. But we're proud of him. Of course, he's been very involved in our health system. As you know, the university has a massive health system serving the people of the state. And what we're doing in the Eastern Panhandle is really quite remarkable and something that we're very, very proud of. So he's a great example of what Scouting is, which is community service, building bridges, building opportunity, creating better lives for people. And so there's no doubt about it that Rick is really well deserving of this recognition. And I'm proud that I could be here. Just a little bit about the university at the moment. As you know, it's been a very challenging time. Rick has heard me say this, but I feel like running a university is like catching a javelin. You never know where it's going to come from. Every morning on my front doorstep is a 1,000-piece puzzle, and I try to put a few pieces together, and then the time runs out, and then the next morning I have another 1,000-piece puzzle, as you can imagine, with 33,000 students and some 30,000 plus faculty and staff. So a little-known fact is the fact that our university is the largest employer of the state with our health system, and our budget runs at about $4.5, nearly close to $5 billion. So it's a big enterprise. We're also the largest economic engine in the state, and we also create more jobs than anyone. And we're very proud of that, because our land grant mission as a university is to build communities, to make certain that 1.8 million West Virginians have a better life, and to make sure that we're contributing to that. And I often joke about the fact that one of our goals is to keep young West Virginians here, these young Eagle Scouts. We want to keep them here in the state. I used to joke about the fact that we'd build a wall around West Virginia and make Ohio pay for it. But I do believe that what we need to do is we need to make certain that we are a place that is very friendly to the citizens of this state, so that they stay here, but very friendly for people locating here. I know that this will sound like a strange prediction, and I hope it's true, and I do believe it's true, and that is the fact that I think that the pandemic is going to prove to be one of the greatest opportunities in the life of West Virginia. And the reason for it is, if you read today, just in several of the news outlets, people are fleeing the big cities. The vertical cities are in many ways in real disarray. The moving out far exceeds anyone who's trying to move in. And one of the great advantages of West Virginia is the fact that we're within driving distance of 2/3 of the American public. Beautiful setting, wonderful people. We've now started this new program about outdoor recreation, and we call it West Virginia Remote, where we're actually going to pay people to move here. And these are people who will be contributing members of our society. And we think that will create a real opportunity for economic, social, and cultural growth. In addition, we're now focusing on creating new adventures and new opportunities in the state. Obviously, in your part of the world, we have Procter & Gamble, and that has been a great boon added. But we have recently attracted probably the foremost ground transportation idea in the world, which is the Hyperloop. This tube that will run a train in it at 760 miles an hour. I actually saw the first 2 people ride in the Hyperloop in just outside of Las Vegas, Nevada. We're building the certification center, about a 7.5 to 8 mile long test track, and that will take people up to about 760 miles an hour. When we start building this in the next 4 or 5 years around this country, one will be able to go between Chicago and New York in about 35 minutes. Between Washington and New York, between Washington and Morgantown, West Virginia, in just a few minutes, and it is carbon neutral. It's relatively inexpensive, and it's that kind of idea generation. But the fact that it came to West Virginia in competition with 17 states is something that we can be very proud of. A lot of it due to the fact that propulsion engineering and transportation engineering is one of the great strengths of West Virginia University, and we lead the nation in many of those issues. So, and speaking of scouting, as you know, the largest outdoor recreation facility in the world is south of Berkeley, called the Bechtel Summit. And West Virginia again was selected, and the major reason it was selected, the 14,000 acres world-class facility. It was selected because of the quality of the people, because of the fact that we really worked very hard to get it, and they also selected it because it was a reclaimed coal mine, and that coal that came out of there built the ships and built the turrets, et cetera, that really won World War II. So there's a lot of history there, and I hope that many of you get a chance to be able to visit that facility. And so the university has taken on a major role with scouting. I do serve on the executive committee of scouting, and it's a real privilege. But one of the issues is that we really believe that character education as a university is very important. And we believe that training scout executives who can come back in, rebuild scouting, rebuild it in the very best way. And obviously we parallel that with our strong commitment to 4-H, the two of the largest youth development programs in the country, and both of them really running out of our land grant tradition. And so we are creating programs for leadership training, or creating outdoor recreation programs and outdoor recreation degrees. We're using the summit, using all the assets of West Virginia. So we are very intimately tied to scouting. In addition, they have built the Marriott Leadership Center at the Bechtel Summit, and we're going to soon become the institution that provides academic and institutional activities there. So we're very, very committed in that regard. So Scouting and West Virginia have always been very engaged with each other. Scouting and West Virginia University and West Virginia, now I can tell you very honestly, is as tightly bound together as one can possibly imagine. So whenever we have a chance to celebrate Scouting, we should. Whenever we have a chance to celebrate those who have done great things for Scouting, like Rick has done, then we should do that. Whenever we have a chance to celebrate the councils and their leadership and all the things that they're doing, we should recognize that. And whenever we have a chance to celebrate Eagle Scouts, I think it is important. I am an Eagle Scout myself. As you heard, I grew up in a very small town, Vernal, Utah. About 2,000 people. It was the largest city between Salt Lake City and Denver at the time, which is the same distance as between Charlotte, North Carolina and Boston, Massachusetts, if you can imagine that. And we had no television, not because we couldn't afford it, but television was not available. We didn't have a movie theater. We had a library. I joke about the fact that I read all 4 books, but but my two roles in life were, and my 2 loves in life were Scouting and 4-H. I participated in both. I worked very hard to get my Eagle badge because I hate to swim. If you want to know the truth, and there was only one swimming pool in the city. It belonged to me, by the way. It belonged to my scoutmaster, and he'd let me come down at 8 o'clock in the morning, and I'd swim all day, kind of this great white well, and then I would try again, and he'd come over and he'd try to figure out if I was worthy of the merit badge of swimming and life saving. And no, and I mean, I did this for 3 months. Finally, on the very last day, he signed off. I think my father probably bought the badge. I don't know, but anyway, it was always a great achievement to me because I worked so hard for it and continue to do so throughout my life because I believe that it represents the values that I want to be part of, and it always sets a very high standard. I think that someone that I was listening to earlier mentioned that so many people of distinction have been Scouts and have been Eagle Scouts. But the other thing that we don't talk a lot about is the fact that Scouting creates folks who engage in high attainment in other ways. Scouts are among the happiest people in this country. Scouts are among the most productive people in this country. Scouts are among the folks who are the best community members. Scouts are among the folks who like to join things like Rotary and Lions and a variety of other things. In other words, Scouting is not simply about Scouting itself. It is about creating this kind of sense of place and purpose and opportunity for people who otherwise would not be able to have that. We want everyone here, all the young men who are here, we want them all to come and be with us at the university. We get great students out of the Eastern Panhandle. Some of the best high schools in the state are there, and we're very fortunate to get a large group of students, but we love those Eastern Panhandle students, and we want them to come, be part of a great university, be part of a place that has immense spirit. I will note because Rick is, I'm certainly very proud of this, the Big 12, of which I served as chairman for a couple of years. I went 5-0 in bowl games. We're happy about that. And we have more teams in basketball ranked in the top 15 than any other of our leagues. And so we live in a very competitive world. The academic programs of the institution are sparkling. Our medical center has just moved into the front ranks itself. Our Neurological Institute, our Cancer Institute, we're building a brand new children's hospital. And the purpose of that is we do not want anyone to leave this state to get health care. We want them to migrate to this state. And I was just with Dr. Razai, who runs our Rockefeller Neuroscience Institute. About 2/3 of his patients are coming from all over the world now. So they're coming to West Virginia for the treatments that they can receive here. So that's just yet another example. Finally, let me just say that to Rick and to Donna and to the family that I am proud to have them as members of our university family, but more importantly, I'm proud to have them as my friend. We've traveled together, we've spent time together, we've enjoyed each other, but most importantly, I think that in today's COVID world, what we really learned are the green shoots of friendship. We never really realized how important family and friends were because they were so readily available. They're not now. And so the opportunity to celebrate anytime friendship is something that I greatly appreciate. So congratulations to the council. Congratulations to everyone who are here. Thank you for making this extra effort to be involved in scouting. It is one of the most important times, one of the most important programs to rebuild civility and respect in this nation. So I appreciate the opportunity to be here and look forward to celebrating in the Eastern Panhandle when they will let me out of my cage.
Thank you, Dr. We thank you again. I want to thank Eric Stinger. He provided me with a script that I tried to stick to some extent, but he really provided me with a lot of good information. And at this time, we want to call up Eric, who's the current district chair and co-chair of our program tonight, and also Robert Garrett, who's the scout executive for the Shenandoah Area Council. They have a presentation to make.
First, thank everyone for being here this evening. It's been a great evening so far. Really looking forward to the next minute or two. I'd like to ask Rick and Dave to come up if they would. As while they're coming up, it's already been alluded to, we originally had started out this thing wanting to recognize both of them. And in normal pill and pill fashion, they said Rick's kind of the guy out in public, and Dave's the guy that just kind of makes that able to happen. Without Dave, Rick couldn't get out and do what he does. And we, as a community, owe you both for all that you have done for the community. Also, just as a fellow guy from Morgantown, I just want to say thank you for making Morgantown look good yet again. We as a committee wanted to honor you both a little bit. So what we decided to do is come up with a presentation for each of you. We're going to award you the James E. West Award. That's a scouting award. $1,000 has been donated to the council in your names, and that will sit there in perpetuity to help fund the councils, all their future endeavors, and keep everything going long beyond when we are gone. So thank you for that. Rick, that's for you. Here is a lapel pin to go with that, and a scouter's knot. So at any time you decide you want to wear a scout uniform, you can sew that right on the top of there. Dave, got one for you. A lapel pin, and the Scouter's knot as well. And before you exit the stage, if you would mind handing me that bag. Again, have a little bit of connection with Morgantown with the Phils. And when we decided that Rick and Dave were going to be our honorees, knowing they're from Morgantown and our history, I really wanted to thank them for accepting this honor personally. So I was able to garner something from Morgantown, which I think you both will appreciate. These are pieces of Seneca glass from Seneca Glass Company from Morgantown with the sticker still on them. That's important. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoy those. Dave and I have talked about years growing up in Morgantown, going down to Seneca and picking up the glass rocks, throwing them up against the building, watching them explode. It's a great Morgantown memory. So I wanted to share that with you guys.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome. All right, Dave, if you wouldn't mind having your seat. I think we're announcing. All right. Rick, as soon as he gets back up here. Got a little something more for you since you were the named recipient. First, again, thank you for agreeing to do this. It means a lot to the council. This dinner is really the lifeblood for Berkeley County going into to support the council financially. It's always our biggest fundraiser, and having Rick accept this this honor really boosted our expectations. We were able, with honoring Rick, we were able to raise for this evening through all of your kindness and charity over $76,000 for Boy Scouts, $76,165. That is how much people in this community think about you and appreciate you. And thank you so much for sharing that with us and your time. Because we couldn't think of anything to suit you, you're not a trophy guy, there's no reason to have some big cup on your wall. We figured to honor you with something that you would truly enjoy. A little caricature of some things that are important to you and that you like. Rick, we can't thank you enough. Thank you for being our honoree. And we look forward to many more years of participation in the community together.
Very nice, very nice. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you.
That's great. What a picture. That's great. Thank you.
A little COVID. There you go. All right. And with that, I'll let you have a seat.
One of the good things about going last is you don't have to talk as much. And when you don't know what other people are going to say, you can take your list of things and but there were some awful good things. Yeah, it was pretty humbling. To the committee, to Friends of Scouting, to President Gee, Todd, and certainly my brother, thank you all very much for your kind comments. I will mention some things, even though they've been mentioned previously. I am glad this wasn't a roast. When they talked to Dave and I, we made sure it wasn't. And since most of our troubled years were before we came here, it was a little safer. Today, when I was getting dressed, one of the good things was I put a suit on and said, wow, I forgot I even had these. I haven't worn a suit for 10 months.
And I didn't know somebody was going to explain it, but I'm glad they did, that they approached Dave and I. They did not approach me. And I'm so glad that approach was made that way, because so many things that I get the opportunity to do are simply because Dave takes care of the office and Dave takes care of family. And he says, go have fun, go do your thing and represent us well. And I'm glad the community knew that before, and when I don't have to tell people that. I mean, it's very obvious. And maybe, well, frankly, he probably does it because he knows he's a better worker than I am, so I might as well go out and PR, because somebody's got to get the work done. He's probably the better worker. I tell you, he and you all know this, Dave probably ought to be a minister or a motivational speaker. He's got some heart that comes out and lets you think a little bit. Really appreciate President Gee for so many things, his support of scouting and for being here with us to the extent he could tonight. Todd has been wonderful ever since I moved here, and I just couldn't have a better friend. As many people have said this evening, and the reason we agreed to do this is to, because of the recognition, and people need to have public service and to recognize the Boy Scouts, and they go hand in hand. Boy Scouts promote public service, and they are tied completely together. And Dave explained where our cares about public service comes from, and for Dave and I, we had the great blessing of wonderful parents. But and sometimes when I think about life, it's not just our parents, it's our ancestors. I mean, our parents had parents, and these things in life, the good things that we have and the benefits and the qualities we have, they get passed down. And I went to a funeral recently, and in Harrisburg, PA, and one of the things the minister pointed out is the lady that died. He complimented her 5 children about how well she passed on her faith, her work ethic, and community spirit to the 5 children. But he looked at each of the 5 children and said, are you doing all you can to continue to pass these traits down to your children and your grandchildren? And I'm very proud and think Dave and I have done a good job with that, and Donna. And so I encourage everybody to do that, and I encourage our children to try to pass on these things that have made America great. I do greatly appreciate my wife and support, and just like Dave keeps working and letting me go do things that are fun, Donna's very tolerant, and she keeps the household going and works hard and supports me in every opportunity of community support that I do. And frankly, it's fun. I mean, you feel good about yourself when you have a chance to help the community and others. You know, and this sense of community, you know, comes from other places too. It comes from your school teachers, comes from your church family, as Dave said, comes from your schoolmates, it comes from friends, and it comes through organizations. Of course, one of the most important organizations that start out as a young person and continues on through your life, building teamwork and self-reliance and community service and faith, are our Boy Scouts. And I wasn't a scout, but I know many people here that were a scout. And Dave talked about our days in First Ward in Dogtown. It was kind of funny. Just about 2 weeks ago, we stayed. It's great when you stay in connection with each other. And I got an email from one of my best friends there, and I passed out the picture. But that would have been our First Ward scouting group from Morgantown from about, 60 years ago. And some of the people in that picture today, they're ministers, they're farmers, they're businessmen. They are community leaders And they're perfect examples of the same people that I see over here as adults. One of them, our best friend in there, one of our best friends lived 2 houses down, ended up being an engineer through WVU and worked 20 or 30 years on the space shuttle. So they are successful people, but they're good people. And it warms my heart to see those and know the same thing was going on with scouting here that was going on in Morgantown, in Charleston, and around the world. It's a worldly organization, and it ties the world together and our country together. Quite a blessing for us. Someone mentioned earlier that organizations are having less and less people in them today. And this was even before the COVID. And I think it's a problem. I think it's a serious problem. We need to live as groups of people and sharing ideas and feelings, and even when those ideals are not identical. But we have to continue these organizations that are diminishing in this world, whether it's the Rotary or Kiwanis or church membership or whatever it might be. And I have a little saying, and that's part of being an organization and doing things. Don't just watch life, be part of it and participate in it. So we want to continue to try to do that. I know all of you do that. And this has just been a wonderful, heartwarming experience. I'll add one more thing that ties together with the Eastern Panhandle. This Eastern Panhandle has been one of the most remarkably welcoming communities you can imagine. And Dave and I do a lot of real estate closings, and as you know, a lot of people move here. Now, you've got a lot of areas of West Virginia, whether it's the southern coal fields or other areas, that 95, 98% of the people graduating from high school started their education in kindergarten in that community. Berkeley County is about 50% taught. About half the people that graduate from high school started here, but half of them have moved in. And when we have a closing and people come in, we'll talk to the parents and they'll say, well, our kids are in 8th and 10th grade. You know, we hope this adjustment moving is going to work and not be tough on those kids. Well, those kids go into a classroom in 10th grade and they go to a classroom in Boone County and they might be the only new person in there for 10 years. They move in Berkeley County. The person to the left might have moved here 2 years ago, the one to the right 6 months ago. The teacher may not have been born and raised here. And bless my wife, she's a teacher. We've talked about these things. But because of that, people can feel a part of this community so easily and so welcoming that it's just heartwarming. We had a great opportunity. One of the best things I ever did was moving and staying in West Virginia. I had opportunities in Virginia and Pennsylvania. I came over to interview for a job. I came down to 81. I saw that sign that said, almost heaven, wild, wonderful West Virginia. I started getting tears in my eyes. I said, this is where I could be. So because of all of you in this welcoming community, and the fact that I met my beautiful bride over here, it's one of the best things I ever did, come to this great community. So thank you for letting us be part of it.
This must be your mask.
I need that for sure. President Yee wouldn't be happy when I got that from him. He got 40,000 for people.
Eric, you have something else to,
But just before, yes, and thank you. I forgot one thing, Eric. I'll go ahead and mention it. I told Eric I would. He left it for me. I usually follow Jim daily. Jim's a great leader. He does great things. And when you talk about President Yee, and President Yee will tell you, a key man for our state is Jim Davis. Jim was the man that had the foresight to make sure that we had President Yee come back to our university and to keep him permanently as our president.
Jim encouraged and helped me get on the Board of Governors after he left the Board of Governors, so I usually follow Jim. This time, for once, I get to be ahead of him, and I'm proud to announce that someone that could not be more deserving is Jim David will be the recipient in 2021.
I wondered if Jim might have been involved in hiring Dana Hogerson.
Shane Lyons.
Yeah, well, Luck did that. Luck did that. He messed everything up. Anyway, listen, we want to thank you for your support being here tonight. Thank Rick for being here. All the things that he's done for our community. He continues to do it. You know, I've worked with him for a number of years. Actually, Dave's there most of the time. So, again, we're going to have another one of these things coming up in the late spring, and until then, I want everybody to stay safe. Let's hope we can get vaccinated and get this damn COVID-19 behind us. Hope everyone has a good night. Thank you for coming.
I think I recognize Mondo.